Ho, 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 Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. It's Mike and Rachael Novak from the Novak Real Estate team bringing you our December market report. Cocoa, cookies, the whole shebang, and a whole bunch of market data too. If you are watching this, we would ask that you please subscribe, share it with somebody that would value from this information as well, and that we get notified of new episodes. And if you're listening to it on our podcast, leave us a 5-star review as well. Let's jump right into the data. It's pretty interesting going on right now. We have some shocking information for people. If you've been waiting for the market to go down, we've got some really interesting insights for you today that we'll unpack, but we got to get there first. Let's start with the new listings. New listings are up 10%.
Can't even believe it.
And not really surprised by this. Why do you think that's happening?
Well, I think that people have started to acclimate to the new interest rate. Like, this has been a big shock. Everybody's waiting for the interest rates to go back down to where they were 5 years ago, 4 years ago. And everybody's coming to the realization it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's the people have adapted to the change. They've acclimated to the change in mortgage rates. You know, like it caused a lot of sellers to be stuck for years where they're like, I don't want to go from a 3 to a 7. And that makes a lot of sense, you know, but the reality is some people still have to make a move. There's death, there's divorce, there's downsizing, there's upsizing, there's job relocation. There's all these things that still necessitate people making a move. And so those people that were kind of on the fence for selling, I think they've all started selling this year.
100%. And, you know, it gets to this point where, you know, like you said, people are stuck. And we even talked some people out of selling for that reason. Like, if you have a 2.7 or a 3% interest rate and you don't need to sell or upsize or downsize or make this move, I would recommend you stay in it for a little bit longer. But for most people who actually need to, now you've built up enough equity as the market is continuing to go up, which we'll get into here in a second, and it makes sense to move again.
Yep, absolutely. And with rates in like the low to mid 6s, it's a lot more palatable than when it was in the 8 for sure.
Exactly.
Pending sales up 34%. Kind of interesting. I mean, not really a big surprise. I think to me, this really signifies that we've had an uptick in buyer activity the last couple of weeks, or really the last month even maybe, where there's been a lot of activity happening, which is kind of a surprise this time of year. Like, this is not typically the busiest time of year for buyer activity, but we've seen a lot of listings, I know, on our team go under contract in the last 4 to 5 weeks. What do you think is going on there?
I think that, you know, buyers over the last couple of years, especially in our market in Snohomish County, have gotten more and more savvy, right? Like, there's more information at their fingertips. I think really good real estate agents in our market are great about coaching their clients and saying, hey, this is the best time of year to find something that's going to win for you, that's going to be a good deal for you. And especially as we know, and we'll get into in a second, that almost all spring markets after presidential election year go up pretty significantly. We've been encouraging our buyers, like, if you have been on the fence to buy, get in right now. Like, this is the time.
There's been a sense that there's some opportunity to get deals done, I think.
Yes.
Like, some buyers have got some really good deals that I've seen in the market, and they're really smart to be taking action on that, because those are going to be gone come February, March. So very cool. Closed sales are up 17%. You know, I think when you look at the combination of closed sales and pending sales, what you're seeing is an overall decrease in inventory in the market that's happening. So we're seeing inventory starting to already go down, which again, pretty unusual this time of year. Usually we see that happen in January, February. So it's like already starting to happen, which is kind of crazy. Days on market sitting about 29 days right now. So from the time that a home goes in the market to the time it goes under contract, it's trending right around a month. Some listings are definitely going faster than that, like within days. Others are sitting for very long periods of time. Like, there's areas of Snohomish and Arlington that are more like 4 to 5 months days on market. So it's really seems to be price point and location dependent. Like, all these little sub markets are really having different experiences as far as how long it takes to sell a home and what the inventory looks like.
That's exactly what I was going to say. You know, like the days on market as an average for Snohomish County, 30 days, historically speaking, is still very quick. That's still less than a month, but it is what I would call a pocketed number, where in different corners of the county and different price points in those areas, it may take 4 or 5 months to sell a property, as opposed to a lower price point in a more desirable neighborhood will likely go off market in 2 or 3 days.
Right, exactly. All right, the shocking one of this month's market report.
Crazy.
The home sales price, $863,000, which is an appreciation amount of 10% from the same time last year.
That is 10% appreciation. That means homes this month, are 10% more valuable than they were this time last year.
$86,000 more than this time last year.
That is crazy.
So if a home's $86,000 more, how much more per month does that mean for somebody that's buying? I mean, you're talking in the neighborhood of like, what, $500 to $700 more a month?
That
Like
is,
if you waited last year to buy this year, what if that happens again?
I would venture to bet it likely will happen again. Even if it only goes up half that, it only goes up 5%, that's still an extra $200 or $300 a month that you'll be paying this time next year. Like, it is still worth buying right now. What's the old adage? Like, what the best time to buy a house was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now.
Yeah, this I think is really going to catch a lot of people off guard that have been thinking the market's actually going down. And when you look at it, holy shit, it's actually gone up 10%.
Exactly. It's wild.
I didn't think this was going to happen. I thought we were in for like 3 to 4%. Yeah. I didn't see 10% happening. I thought maybe next spring it could be a reality, but to see that already is absolutely crazy. And so as far as like that $863 purchase price go, what does that translate to in a monthly payment for people if they put, like 10% down?
Oh, I love when you ask me math questions,
like probably
Novak.
$5,500 to $6,000 or so,
yeah,
depending on
say 6,000.
taxes. Yeah. So depending on your down payment, I mean, you're looking at a pretty healthy mortgage payment.
Yeah.
And you need to have a pretty decent household income to support that. Like if your household income's under about $150,000, you might struggle to buy that $863 house unless you have a really large down payment. So the affordability issues in Snohomish County remain a very real challenge, between the combination of price appreciation that we've seen over the last 7 years and also mortgage rates no longer being 2 or 3%. It's priced a lot of people out, just to be honest.
It totally has. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, have to use the equity in the property. If you currently own a house, the equity in the property that you have is essential in being able to afford the next property, right? And one thing that we talk about a lot on our team that I want you guys to know also is that when you have a big chunk of equity in a property, it's really important that you're working with an experienced agent and an experienced mortgage lender so that they can take a lot of that cash and appropriate it well for you. Not just throw it all into the down payment, but there's ways to get creative with it. Buying down the rate, buying off your PMI, your private mortgage insurance, paying off other assets so that your DTI is in a good place. There's so many good ways to use it in order to get that payment down so people can still afford those things. You just sometimes have to get a little creative with your equity.
Yep. No, that's a great point. And so a lot of people are asking like, okay, if $863 is the average price, what's the entry level price like for a starter home? And that's really in that $5 to $550 range right now. That's going to be a small home. It's going to be older. It's going to be in locations like maybe Marysville, Granite Falls, maybe some other areas as well. But it's going to be an older house and it's going to need some updating. But again, that's a better stepping stone than just waiting to buy the dream house till you've saved up a ton of money. Like a lot of buyers, they have stuck in their head like, hey, I'm going to wait to buy a home till I get the dream home. And that's not really the best way to do real estate. The best way to do real estate is get your foot in the door, buy something that is just a starter house as soon as you possibly can. Use one of the low down or no down payment options for your mortgage and make that transition from renter to homeowner. So you start building appreciation, building equity, not paying somebody else's mortgage for them, but actually get your foot in the door and start doing that. And then 5 years from now, sell that house and upgrade, right? Now you've got a big down payment to put on the next house. And most people actually own 5 homes over their lifetime. So stop shooting for the dream house on the first home if you're a first-time home buyer. Instead, get your foot in the door.
Well, we've had the privilege of walking people through that exact upgrade, right? Where we sell them this home that is tight. I'm thinking of one family in particular, bought this 3-bed, 1-bath home. Is about 1,100 square feet. They have 4 kids. It was tight. And they stayed and they made it work in that home for 5 years. And then that home more than doubled in value in the 5 years that they were there. And with the equity that they were able to build, they were able to go and buy a piece of land with this beautiful house on it, this beautiful farmhouse that had all the space. It had a detached shop. It had square footage for all their grown kids. I mean, it's been a beautiful thing to watch. But what did they do? They sacrificed. They said, okay, I'm okay with this. This is the perfect property for me right now. This isn't the forever property.
Right. Yeah. So to give you a rule of thumb, like if you can afford $3,500 to $4,000 a month and you have minimal to no down payment, that's a scenario you could probably make work, but you're not going to go much lower than that. Maybe VA, you might be able to get to like $3,500. But for like conventional or FHA, you're probably going to be pushing closer to that $4,000 a month number just with like starter level purchase prices. Okay. Yep. So inventory up 11%, not really a big surprise there. I think that's going to come down right as soon as we hit the end of January. Is that kind of what you're expecting as well?
That's exactly right. I was actually I thought thought that number was quite low for this time of year. Usually we see inventory stacking up in November and December. And so seeing that go down means that there has been more buyer activity than people putting their homes on the market this quarter, which is pretty crazy. But I would anticipate, seeing a little bit more inventory, but of course, exponentially more buyer activity coming into Q1.
Yeah, definitely. And then months of inventory supply. This is to me like the crystal ball of where pricing is going to go, because we know that when inventory goes down, prices go up. When inventory goes up, prices go down or they flatten. And so we're seeing actual like a month to month decrease in the amount of inventory. We're seeing about 1.3 months of inventory right now, which is not a lot. No. Like at one point this year, we were actually like right around 2 months of inventory. So it's come down even as we enter the holidays, which is a little bit unusual.
Exactly right. So quick explanation, of course, on months of inventory. 1.3 months of inventory is about 5, almost 6 weeks of inventory. That means if no other homes came on the market, we would sell completely out of homes available for seller or for buyers. Right.
And most economists would agree that a neutral or balanced market is about a 5 to 6 month inventory supply of homes. So that would tell you it's still really a seller's market. Exactly. Like buyers are getting some deals right now, in particular on homes that have just been sitting there for a while, but it's still very, very low inventory.
Yep.
So, exactly, and that number is probably going to go back to like half a month of inventory come springtime 2025.
Yeah.
Mortgage rates. A lot of people are asking where these are at. Like in that 6.5 to 6.6 range is kind of what we're seeing right now. Just depends on what loan program you're doing, whether if it's FHA, conventional VA. But it has been very volatile the last few months. We saw it go down all the way actually to like a flat 6%, and then all the way up to like almost 7%. And it's kind of just settled down in the last few weeks. A lot of people have been asking me like, hey, why are mortgage rates volatile or going up when the Fed keeps lowering the cost of borrowing? Those two rates are really not directly connected. There is certainly a little bit of a correlation there, but that's really the cost of borrowing for the Federal Reserve to other banks. And so it's good to see that the cost of borrowing is coming down. Long term, that definitely could help with interest rates, but it's by far not a direct correlation. Okay.
Exactly right. And I'm seeing a lot of people asking questions, and I'm hearing a lot of questions about, with this new administration coming into the presidential office, a rate's going to go down, right? Are we going to see 2-3% interest rates again?
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you, we're probably not. And the other thing with this is, if they do, say that interest rates even got back down into the 5s or low 5s, guess what is going to happen to home prices?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I don't know, like, be careful what you wish for, because exactly. if you get those lower rates, like if you got something in the 3% range, you could expect home prices to go into double-digit, like multiple double-digit appreciation again. And all of a sudden we're seeing 20% appreciation again, which just completely crosses out the benefit of the lower rate. So
100%.
I could see us ending up in the mid-5s in 2025. All the forecasts I've seen have been high 5s to low 6s. So it's not going to be like a drastic change. But again, you can always refinance your rate when mortgages do go down later, so that's always an option, but you can't refinance the price of the home.
Exactly. Spot on.
The range of rates, just to kind of give you a barometer too, like we've seen as low as 6.08% and as high as low 7s over the last 52 weeks. So kind of all over the place, a big range, and has a big impact on your payment. So what would you give sellers like some guidance right now? If someone's thinking about selling, in the next few months, what would you be telling them?
I think that it's really, really important that you get us involved as soon as possible when it comes to selling. There's a lot of speculation in the market, what's going to happen. I think a lot of people are very hopeful. A lot of people, and as you should be with 10% appreciation, that's a fantastic number to hear year over year. But the worst thing that you can do is wait to get an agent involved in the process until right before you're ready to go on the market. Really, really important that you get us involved early so that we can help guide what actual updates, changes, cosmetic touches need to be done that are going to have the best return for you, so that you're not putting money into things that you're not going to get back.
Yeah, having that conversation now, even if you're like 4 to 6 months out from wanting to list, definitely could save you a lot of money.
Yep.
Can also talk about timing a little bit more and trying to make sure that you hit the peak of the appreciation as we round spring as well. For buyers, this is really like a great window of opportunity that a lot of people are taking advantage of. And if you're thinking about buying in the next year, the price you're going to pay in the next 4 to 6 weeks is going to be the best price you get all year long. I am fully convinced of that. So I understand it's inconvenient to go look at homes, to buy a home, to get approved for a mortgage when you're trying to enjoy the holidays. But if you have your 25 plans to buy a house, I would embrace that discomfort right now, because it could save you tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars per month. Like if you could save $400 to $700 a month if you bought a home now instead of in May or June, would that be worth the pain and the discomfort of looking at homes and starting that process while the holidays are still going?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, then put down the turkey and go start touring houses.
Put down the prime rib. Time to go shopping.
So on our team, we do things very different. Like we really look at ourselves as guides and consultants to our clients. And so the first step in the process, whether you're buying or selling, is just to schedule a time for us to meet. If you're selling, we'll come meet you at your house.
Yep.
We'll look at the updates you've done to your house. We'll look at comparable homes that are similar size, age, and condition, and really help you pinpoint exactly how much equity you may have in your home if you decide to sell and how much you would net. We'll also help you identify what updates to do to the home and what not to do to the home so you don't waste money on it.
Yep.
On the buy side, we'll really walk you through the home buying process from start to finish. We'll share with you our 4-phase approach to buying a home that makes it massively simple, and get a game plan together to help you find that house and turn that dream into an actual reality.
Absolutely.
So if you want to connect with us, meetthenovaks.com is the place to do it. You can find me on Instagram at @TheRealMikeNovak. Again, if you liked this episode, please do subscribe so you get notifications for future videos. And of course, share it with anyone that you think could benefit from it as well.
Love it. And you can find me at Rachael Novak with the extra A. See you next time.